Hi guys. Okay, we're on Unsurprised, and this is Chloe Garfinkel, IQ of 159. Hypothesis. Donovan Curtis is smarter than all of us put together. Okay, probably not. Make that definitely not. Yet all our spectacular grades, killer IQs, and gangbuster test scores couldn't keep us out of summer school. Neither could Oz, Mr. Del Rio, and even Dr. Schultz. And Donovan managed it with a flick of the wrist. The stomach entered the room first. It was enormous, like someone had stretched a tablecloth over a prize-winning watermelon. We waited for the rest of her to come in. It took longer than we thought because she wasn't moving too swiftly. When I finally saw how petite she was, it seemed like a miracle she was moving at all. Her name was Katie Patterson, and she was Donovan's older sister. This was kind of like show and tell on steroids. She was our human growth and development project, our way out of summer school. We needed final approval from the state, of course, but Oz and the school agreed that she counted as hands-on experience, provided we followed her pregnancy in its final 6 weeks. I know the minute Donovan showed up in the lab that something important was happening, and here was proof. He was the cavalry galloping to our rescue. Can you imagine the top students in the state and maybe even the whole country not being able to allow to start high school? It would be a huge black eye for the academy and the whole school district. And what did Donovan get out of this? Nothing. He had already taken human growth and development, so he wouldn't have to go to summer school. And he had a sister who didn't exactly look thrilled that he had volunteered her unborn child as our class pet. So he was probably going to pay for it at home. Abigail said Donovan was a self-centered jerk, not gifted at all, who was laughing at us behind our backs. I didn't agree. Maybe he wasn't gifted in the way we were. Sorry, guys. But he had an uncanny knack for making a difference. Take the robotics program. For a scientific standpoint, Tin Man hadn't changed at all since his arrival. Donovan had contributed a name, a few pictures from the internet, and his joystick skills. Yet somehow he's transformed our entire team. We were focused, excited, united. Cold Springs Harbor had better watch out. Hypothesis. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts, especially if one of those parts is Donovan. Welcome to the robotics lab, Katie, Oz greeted the newcomer warmly. We're so grateful to you for helping us out by allowing us into your life. She glared in her brother's direction, then turned to the teacher. I have only one rule, and one's a deal breaker. When you're 7.5 months pregnant, you go to the bathroom every time the wind blows. So when I have to run, nobody had ever been in my way. Sorry about that. Oz seized the teachable moment. What happens is the growing baby expands the uterus and puts pressure on the bladder. Whatever the reason, Katie continued, when I've got to go, everyone else on hold. I don't care if I'm performing CPR or have to leave one of you gasping and suffocating. Are we clear? Hypothesis. The belly rule. Whoever has the belly makes the rules. First off, Katie told us, being pregnant is the weirdest thing that's ever going to happen to you. It's like growing a whole extra body part that doesn't seem to do anything except bump into furniture and slowly get bigger so you can bump into even more furniture. I raised my hand. But aren't you excited? I was, she admitted. But then 6 months go by and you stop believing that it's ever going to happen. It's hard to maintain the fever pitch for almost a year. Her expression grew sad, and it's hard to think that when this baby is born, its dad won't be there to see it. When did he die? Came Noah's nasal voice. Donovan braided a laugh right in his face. He's not dead, wise guy. He's a tank commander in Afghanistan, and he won't be home in time. Oz jumped in. You get used to Noah, he said quickly. He's not being insensitive, I assure you. Katie nodded. Another thing about being pregnant, your body, which sorry guys, used to be in your own private business, is suddenly hands-on theme park for total strangers. Everybody in the white coats pokes, prods, and examines you in some way or another. And for and for what they can't see, they have plenty of sophisticated machines that can look inside you. I brought a few of the sonogram pictures if anyone's interested in having to look. We all are. I think Katie was kind of surprised at that. She was used to Donovan, and let's face it, he was pretty different from the average gifted kid. None of us knew anything about pregnancy or sonograms, but it was natural for us to take everything seriously and to do our best with it. We wanted to know about this because we wanted to know about everything. We were just knowers. I scoured the black and white images, searching for anything that resembled a baby. I think I spotted a set of ribs and maybe a foot, but I also saw something that looked like a bust of Abraham Lincoln, and that definitely wasn't in there. Abigail thought she found the head, but Katie explained that it was just a bubble in the amniotic fluid. Latrell was convinced he saw twins. Kevin and JC saw nothing at all. Donovan wouldn't even try. I've had plenty of time to look at it after it's born. It's going to be my niece or nephew, whatever. Noah stepped forward for a closer look. If it's a girl, he said finally, then what's that? And you could see exactly what he was pointing at. Katie looked both startled and forlorn at the same time. We didn't know what it wanted to be. We wanted it to be a surprise. He could be wrong, Oz managed without very much conviction. The rest of us nodded in agreement, but we knew better. Noah was never wrong unless he wanted to be. Better start knitting blue booties, Donovan told his sister. She looked daggers at her brother. Wipe that grin off your face, Donnie. I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for you. So everything that's happened is your fault. Hypothesis. Brothers and sisters forged family bonds through a complex byplay of accusations and insults. It wasn't all business. Katie wanted to see the robot, so we gave her a little demonstration. And while Donovan was operating Tin Man, I ended up next to his sister. What's he like at home? I whispered. He's a barrel of laughs, she replied. He drinks orange juice out of the bottle, carpets his room in old socks, watches poker on TV, and he has never said the word thank you in living memory. Should I go on? I felt my face flushing as I stuck up for him. He's doing amazing things bringing you here for our class. She cast me a piercing look that instantly had me on the defense. What? Nothing, really, she smiled at me. It's just interesting to see your brother through someone else's eyes. And suddenly, just as Tin Man was deploying the mini-bot, she became very still, her expression far away. Are you okay? I whispered in concern. The baby's kicking. She took my hand and placed it on the sweater over her rounded abdomen. I could feel it tapping against my hand, like little hiccups. It was strange, but also kind of beautiful. I was so much more than just 1 hour closer to my human growth and development credit. In those 60 minutes, I learned what a brand new human life felt like. Hypothesis. And a certain tank commander of Afghanistan will soon find out he's having a son. All right, next one's called Unfailing, and this is Nola Euclid, IQ 206. So far, the highest we've seen so far in the book. These were my math test results from the semester so far. 0 out of 20, 1 out of 15, 4 out of 35, and incomplete. This was my grade on my progress report, A+. I explained to Mrs. Belawaka that my score was actually 4.52%, a solid F-. On any reasonable scale. She just laughed and changed the A+ to an A++. Then she wrote in the comments section, computes averages without an aid of calculator. How unfair was that? I found a clip on YouTube called Failing Math, but when I watched it, it was completely unhelpful. They didn't teach us how to fail math, they taught you how to pass. I expected more from YouTube, which usually has great stuff like wrestling videos, oranges that talk, and people putting out oil well fires. There was another video called Failing Schools, but it turned out just to be a news story about how our education system isn't any good. I could have told them that, and not for the reasons they gave. The problem with our education system is if you score one little 206 on a little IQ test, everyone goes nuts about it. And you have to go to a special school, only they call it an academy, which really just means the same thing, and then the pressure starts. Do better, reach for the stars, live up to your potential, go all out, strive, achieve. Why? You've been blessed with an incredible gift, and you're wasting it, Oz was constantly telling me. You should be getting 100% of everything. He wanted me to admit that I got 4 out of 35 on purpose, and that I could have gotten 35 out of 35 without breaking a sweat. That was missing the point entirely. To me, this stuff was all so easy that 4 out of 35 and 35 out of 35 were really the same thing. It was like kicking puffballs of dandelion seeds as you walk across an open field. You could get them all, but why would you? It just didn't matter. Abigail thought I was crazy. I disagreed. And if I was as smart as the IQ test that said I was, which one of us was right? I never asked to be the right about anything. It just happened that way. When you have the answers before everybody asks the questions, nothing is very surprising. Whether you're in the gifted program or not, you might as well go to the regular school around the corner from your house. I wanted that so much. The students who went to the school laughed a lot, and even when they weren't in the act of laughing, they seemed unpressured. I could hear in the snippets of conversation as I waited for the bus for the academy. I don't care. Who cares? I could care less. Ask me if I care. Like I care. Everybody said that they were less intelligent than us, but I thought those kids were really onto something. At the academy, people cared too much, which was why we laughed too little. And unpressured was the last word you used to describe us. So why couldn't I convince my parents to let me transfer? Was the argument beyond even my intellect? Did it require an IQ of 207 or better? I was failing at failing. The teachers were onto me. They never let that happen. There was a conundrum here. A, only sheer genius could get me out of the academy. B, anyone showing sheer genius is sent to the academy. I used to spend many hours pondering this back in the days when I had many hours to spend pondering. That all changed when Donovan Curtis told me about YouTube. This was an important revelation to me because almost everything on YouTube is surprising. I'll never forget when Donovan showed me how to use it. He clicked on a video and, for 11 magical seconds, we watched a cockerel spaniel drink out of a toilet. In those 11 seconds, my world was transformed. What I had just seen could not have been predicted by anyone, regardless of IQ. It was astonishing, simple, and utterly random. The brain hiccup of a collective mind 7 billion people strong. I've been looking for something like this my whole life, and I was indefinitely grateful to Donovan for opening that door for me. I almost forgave him for bringing in his sister and spoiling the only chance I might have to ever flunk. The word had just come in from the State Department of Education that studying Katie Patterson's pregnancy officially counted as a real-life experience in human growth and development. You should have seen the celebration when Oz made the announcement in the robotics lab. Everyone mobbed Donovan, slapping him on the back and cheering. All except Abigail. She actually wept at the news that she wouldn't have to go to summer school. It was a little confusing. She took classes all summer anyways, so wasn't that summer school too? What was the difference between the summer school that she went to on purpose and the summer school she'd do anything to avoid? Speaking of confusing, there was Donovan himself. He clearly didn't belong at the academy. I knew that after his first 20 minutes in the lab, what was he doing here? I had no idea, and that alone was considerably awesome. There were very few things I had no idea about. The fact that one of them had landed a few seats away from me in homeroom was wonderful in itself. Donovan was like a human YouTube video, unpredictable. We could have worked on Tin Man for years, incorporating every refinement allowed by technology, but none of us could have envisioned that the greatest improvement of all would simply be in the way you drove it. Yet when Donovan took over the joystick, the answer was right there for all of us to see. It also made excellent YouTube footage. Google Tin Man Metallica SquarePants Expos Teacher's Underwear on the clip should come up. It's already had some more than 1,000 page views, making it my greatest hit so far. Picture this. Miss Belawaka was covering for Oz in the lab, and one fork for the robotic lift mechanism got under her skirt. By the time she noticed it, her hem was up around her ears, and everyone was staring at her underpants, which was bright yellow with pattern of geometry. Mrs. Belawaka didn't accept Donovan's apology. You'd think a math teacher who wore geometry underwear would have better sense of humor, but she really was really mad. Her face looked like she was being tasered, or at least how those people look on the YouTube videos. We were getting just calmed down after the brouhaha when Chloe pounded into the labs, gasping from an all-out sprint. "You won't believe it," she panted. "They still haven't fixed the Hardcastle gym, so they're moving the Valentine dance here." Donovan looked uncomfortable. "What do we care about another school's party?" "Don't you get it?" Chloe crowed. "It's on our turf, so we're all invited. I've been in the gifted program since I was 8, and you know how many dances I've been..." Okay, sorry guys, continue. I got interrupted. "Except for the dance electrons," I reminded her, "my 6th grade science project." Abigail did not share Chloe's enthusiasm. I can't think of a single thing that interests me less than a school dance. Chloe stared at her. But you're going, right? Not even at gunpoint. Chloe was devastated. But you have to. We may never get the chance to go to another one. Abigail was adamant. That suits me just fine. You're a scientist, Mrs. Belwaka challenged her. Can you arrive at the conclusion without any data to back it up? Chloe jumped on the bagwagon. Look at this as an experiment. A social experiment. Right, Donovan? Donovan shrugged. Don't ask me. I never go to dances. Well, you're going to go to this one, announced Oz, striding into the room. I'm making a class assignment. Abigail was horrified. Oz, you can't make us go to an after-school event. No, the teacher agreed, but I can assign everybody to write an essay about it, and if you haven't been there, you'll have to take a 0. I'll take a 0, I volunteered readily. You couldn't get a 0 if you handed in a blank paper, Abigail said in a resentful tone. She was tight-lipped, but I had a feeling she'd be there. I'd kill for a bad grade. She'd kill to avoid one. Oz panned the room, making eye contact with each student. This is a good idea, people. We are all so focused on our specialities that we tend to miss out on ordinary experiences. Having fun is part of education too, you know. I don't have time to go to a dance, I complained. In the 3 hours it will take me to get there, be there, and get home, I could watch between 70 and 100 YouTube videos, depending on the duration of each one. There's more to life than YouTube, Noah, chided Chloe. That's where you're wrong, I retorted. YouTube is life, only better. The entirety of human experience is on that little screen. Last night I watched a modern-day clash of gladiators in bathing suits battling in and out of rope squares, jumping off tables and hitting each other with chairs. It's called professional wrestling, Noah, Donovan announced, and it's all fake. I saw blood, I respected Donovan, but he didn't know everything. If my mother hadn't pulled the plug on my computer, I could have watched a steel cage match. Oz put an end to the discussion. It's settled. We'll all be there, and there's extra credit in it for anybody who can relax enough to have a good time. Will you be going? I asked Donovan as we headed back to our seats. I never went to Hardcastle dances when I was a Hardcastle student, he told me. Why should I start now? Oz overheard us. Extra credit, Donovan, he said, enticingly, dangling the prospect like a fisherman dangles bait. So you'll be there, I persisted. What do you care? Donovan snapped, suddenly angry. You shouldn't even be going. You don't need extra credit. You've got more points and know what to do with. I wish I could give you some of mine, I told him honestly, but I don't think it works that way. He stared at me for a moment and then sighed. See you at the dance. We'll see how the dance goes.